Okay, right. Hopefully quick video to describe some of the features about the standard toolbar 2017. There are some features that would require too long for me to write down. I'm terrible at writing things down. So let's start with the menu. If you go to extensions, you'll find JHS Standard, and you will find the toolbar icons, where you can decide which icons to have on the toolbar or not. You also have the context menu items. By default, these are all off, and the reason is that that there's about 88 items, and of course having 88 items on the context menu would just saturate it, and so they're all off by default, and then you can choose a few that you might want to have on. For example, you might miss having copy, cut, copy, paste, or a couple of others here. So we have the items for the toolbar, the items for the context menu, then we have the global options. We'll go through some of these items as we look through the plugins. We then have all the commands listed there, and then we have the further options for our various items. We'll come to those. The last four are just to be able to set all of the icons on or all of the icons off, in case you need. Right, so the first icon is the toolbar size icon, so switching the icons between small and large. Then we have the new file. Okay, fine. Open file. Okay, this is the open recent file. So what this means is the last recent file, which would be the first on this list, would be recalled. So if you click on this button, it calls up that file instantly. Very handy for me. You understand that this is pretty much a personal view on what I think should be the essential toolbar and all that kind of stuff. Hopefully it's going to be useful for you too. One interesting thing about this is that if you create a new file and you save the new file, clicking on this button would revert the present file to the last saved version. So it pretty much corresponds to the revert command here. It can be useful again. Then we have the save, classic save. I call it save over, and you will notice that it has the ops for options under brackets. And what this means is that we'll be usually accompanied by some options here. In the case of the save over, if you go to the global items, you will find that you can save. Default SketchUp version on save is 2015, for example. In my case, you can choose to any version that you prefer down to version 5, so that every time you save the file, it's automatically saved as per the version you chose. In my case, I always like to work on files that are compatible to 2015, and so that's pretty easy for me. I just click in and saves. Here we have a kind of a double action. If you can see opts, so if I go back to the global options here, that is controlled by this. So that yellow floppy disk will either act as straight use save as template, which basically means file save as template, or you can have quick copy automatic or quick copy append. Let me show you what this means. If I'm working on a file, then I go ahead and save it. So we call it stage, save for example, whatever. And at some point I want to make some changes and I'd like to have a copy for it. So I'm going to click on this, and you can see it's asking me to append a name, so I call it 00. Hit enter. And of course, if I go to the desktop where I save these two files, you see stage and you see stage 00. So very handy, because you can assign a keyboard shortcut, hit it and say latest latest rubbish, and of course automatically, very fast, I have that file with the annotation there. If you want to have it as automatic mode, you will just do version 1, version 2, version 3. Then we have this. And what this will do, it will export either the present scene, the present view, or all of the scenes that you might have already created. Or very handy if you want to export, say, 16 scenes, and in one operation you can export all of those as images. You control the resolution here. So this is the highest resolution that I was able to get, because SketchUp says it's 16,000, but in my trials 9999 was the highest I could get. 3 type files, file types, and JPEG. PNG and TIFF obviously can have alpha channel on, so you can choose to have transparent background there, and various other items. You can work easily those. One more thing, if you go to extensions and you go down to image export in options here, you can set the defaults that will always present you when you choose that particular command. Moving on, we have add scene. Now, why is this particular or deserving of mention is because when you use it this way, it does not ask you for the warning. Do you want to save it as a new style or update? No, this will always save it as a new style. So if I now change anything to it, whatever, go monochrome or something, if I add a new scene, it's simply added S1, S2, S3, and obviously you can see the style is saved. And of course we can delete the scenes, there we go. And then we have this icon here, and what this will do, this icon here will create orthographic views for a selection that you might have. So suppose that you have this sofa here group. If you are to click this icon, asking you, so I say okay, sofa, these are going to be, as you can see, orthographic views of the sofa. Notice the isometric sofa, and obviously the plan, top, but also you've noticed that the rest of the model was isolated, was hidden, and therefore it also creates this tab here where you can say, you can click and unhide all of the objects. So now, for example, suppose I go back to here and I have no selection whatsoever, then the orthographic views are of the whole model. So if I now click again, I say model, obviously you can see here the front side views and the plan view. And then of course we have the sofa as well. And we can have then the unhide in case. If you go to the extension and you go to the options, you will find delete ortho scenes, and of course you can see I can delete, say I don't want to see the sofa ones anymore, don't need them, and off they go. And in this case I'm going to delete the other one as well. So this one is left, so this is for you to manually delete if you don't like it, and it's just because of course it's handy to have a unhide all tab. So I'm going to delete it simply like this. Okay, we've got this one is the align view to face. So you would click on a face, right click and align view, and basically that icon does exactly the same thing. So I click on it, click on the icon, and now the view is aligned to that face frontally. And next we have a isometric view. This is the standard view from SketchUp. But you'll notice that the other views icons have yellow shading, and that is to differentiate those from the normal views that SketchUp comes with. Okay, what am I talking about? Extensions, global options. Here you can choose whether to use the standard views from SketchUp, native ones. This means you're not using uni views. This is what I decided to call these yellow ones. So what's so special about the yellow ones? Well, they don't care about they care about the axis. So if I were to go here and change the orientation of the axis system, say like this, and actually you can see it's sloping down a bit. If I were to use these, you see it doesn't align to the red and green because it really aligns to the original axis system. Now these ones won't. This will align to the current axis set. So you can see the red and green. If I go to top view, the red and green are there. Front, again, red, blue. Look at the difference, of course. If I go to front, the front is totally skewed here. So if you, like me, prefer to have axis aware view system, great, you can use them. You can enable UniView in the global options, or if you don't like them, you can just go to the options, disable them, and then you will, instead of these 3 icons yellow, you will find 3 icons white, and they would be exactly the standard ones. While we're at it, I'm going to show you something, because of course the axes have been changed, and you notice that this icon here is highlighted. That icon is telling you that the axes are not reset, are custom. So if you click on this icon, it will reset them for you. So you click on it, you can see now the axes have gone back. So at any time you're changing the axis, this becomes aware, just in case sometimes you forget. It's nice to have a little warning there. Okay, moving on. Okay, the orange is where I like to model in. And this will have 2 actions. So you will either have white background, so a sort of a light environment, and a dark environment. When you've been working 8 hours on this, sometimes you, maybe like me, prefer to have a background, dark background, and rest a bit of your eyes. So this can be quite nice, and when you need it, just click again. Then we have pretty much similar thing. You can have a black versus white, and this is an AutoCAD mode, I call it. In other words, it's as near as I can get to make SketchUp look like some kind of AutoCAD drawing. If I'm doing drafting in SketchUp, which I do, then of course this is quite nice. Then we have this one. Now that will only show you the shadows, so you can see, you don't see any geometry, you just see the shadows of it. You can click it off, of course. This I use to just export the shadows, put them in Photoshop, and do some extra artistic things. So it's just nice to have the shadows totally separate from the rest. And then we have this one. This one it's exactly the same command as if you were to do right click, align axis. So if I click again, click again, you can see the blue flipping away. And of course you can see the axis being changed, so you can reset them here. Okay, then of course we have the axis reset, we have the toggle of the axis, you can switch them on and off. We have the toggle of the component axis or group axis, so you can see them all here. Okay, here we have an M. If I have a selection, clicking on the M will store in memory that selection. If I then have no selection at all, I can recall it. And that's the only way you can recall it, if you have nothing selected. Because if you have anything selected and you click again on the M, it won't go to the previous selection. It will now store the current one. So if I want to restore the selection previously, click on empty space, then call the M, and you can see it picks up this. If I click on this and I press M, obviously it's going to now store this new selection. So click on empty space, click it, and you can see you can select. Then we have this one, which it will isolate a selection. So if I click, now that selection is isolated. If I click again, it'll bring them all back, bring everything back. Let me show you again. Click and click. Very handy when I'm in a hurry. And then we have explode component. Okay, what does this do? It does this. If I have, say I click on this group with the sofas, if I click on this bomb, it's going to ask me whether I want to explode fully. Now this means explode the whole model, no more groups or components. But if you say contents, then it's going to pick up the selection, filter through it, and just explode the contents of the groups or the components, but not the components themselves. I'll show you. So if I click on this and then I let it go, it takes some time sometimes for this. Now if I enter, the sofa has totally been exploded, all of the sofas. The table, that's its own group hierarchically, so inside the table everything is exploded. Inside the chessboard, all of the pieces are exploded, but the chessboard itself isn't exploded, the book itself isn't exploded, but inside the book all the subgroups are exploded. So you can use it like this, content, or if you use it full, it's going to explode the whole model. Of course, beware that this can take some time to go through the groups and explode. Sometimes it really takes quite a long time. We have this one now. What does it do? Well, sometimes you need to make some quick changes or try something very quick, and you'd like to make a copy, mess the other one up, and bring the copy back if it doesn't work, or things like that. So what this does, it will create a copy below to the distance that you like, and put it on a layer. So if we bring the layers up, and now I'm going to click this, it's asking me, well, how far do you want to put it? I say minus 6,000, hit enter, and what you see is the original, and then here, if I enable the layer, you'll see the one copy below 6,000 units, whatever units you're using. So again, you can switch it off, or you can delete it off, obviously. Very nice for me, again, this is all personalized thing, to have that option to make a quick copy. So this is it, and then we have this one, which is I remember I saw this plugin from Jim Foltz, I think, where you, whichever level you are in a component, this icon will get you out totally back to the model area. Very, very cool. What this icon does, if I click on this, you can see the handles, but if this icon is on, the handles change to just the center one, which are the ones that I use most. Now, if you look in the global options, there's the default scale handle, so you can choose to have constrained. Constrained means that, you see, you get corners and center ones, but you don't get the sort of free form ones. So you can choose your preferred way. Okay, super cleaner. What is this super cleaner? Super cleaner is like thumb cleanup, pretty much, although that is really amazing plugin. This is kind of a much more brute force, simple, dangerous to use plugin, but I kind of like it, and it works like this. If I use it here on him, watch, you see all of the lines, the coplanar lines have been deleted. All the materials have also been deleted. That's dangerous. That's not as safe as cleanup, but it's a very fast and merciless kind of way of sort of making those operations. I use it quite a bit myself on this. Then we have material operations. Now there are some options here from the global global options, and that means display warnings on material operations, display warnings on purge. If these are off, it means that when you click on this, it will do, without asking, without showing you this window, it will do whatever you had last chosen here. Sometimes you might want to remove material on selection, have it as a yes, click OK, and of course all of the materials have been taken away. But if the options is set to off, that won't even ask, it'll just take all of the selections, all of the materials out. Or you can have, for example, these I quite like, if you have a model and you want to whitewash it, for want of a better word, what this would mean is, oh, of course, it's saying please choose only one item. I cannot choose more than one, so make sure that only one item is set to yes. Then it goes through it, and now everything is white, apart from transparent materials in which some kind of bluish shade is given. Then there are a few more, so you can surely get those by yourself without me having to go through even more. Back faces to default, back faces to red, remove material, and so on. Okay, then we have purge. Again, this depends on display warning on purge. If it's set to no, it won't ask you. And now, of course, it's going to ask me what I want to purge. Last one here is display Ruby console. And finally, we come to the one really I meant, the one I meant to do the video for. So here we go. The super keys are an external small program that will take 3 keyboard shortcuts and assign them to zoom in, zoom out, and orbit. Now, if you go to extension, standard, and super keys, set super keys, you can set your own preferred keys. Some keys I found that are a little bit jittery, and so you have to find out. For example, page up and page down on my computer seem to be a little bit less smooth than X and Z. So find out for yourself, but in my case, those are my default. In my keyboard, I have the backslash near the shift key. So if I sign the orbit, I can press it, and next to it I can press the shift, and I'm panning at the same time. Now let me show you. So I'm pressing the backslash, and I'm orbiting. But if I press the shift, I'm panning, let it go, I'm orbiting. Then a Z and X, X and Z. So I'm zooming, orbiting, panning, zooming out, zooming in with the keys, and not scrolling the wheel. Or after 15 years of scrolling the wheel, my finger is totally gone, so you can see why I have this. And some of you might like it too if you have a laptop without the mouse or whatever. Pretty handy to have. Problem is, they take 3 keys of your keyboard off your, maybe you have assigned X to X-ray, so you can assign them in the options there if you like. And I think that's pretty much it. I hope I've covered enough. Please, if you find bugs, let me know. Although I've been spending so much time on this last few weeks, that last thing I want to do is look at the computer screen. But let me know, and I'll fix what I can fix, or we can ask for help from the super master Jedis that live in Sketch Education. Anyway, I hope you have a great time, great Christmas, peaceful season, and bye for now.